How's it going? Dave from Comic Book Investments. Well, last week I did 5 comics that you need to let go of that are going down. So this week we're going to do 5 comics that are going up. And if you've heard me talk in the past, you know I said that a lot of times comics had a huge boom where things were going for crazy prices, all starting around late spring, early summer, right around April through June, July-ish, somewhere around there. Comics was hitting massive prices, and then a lot of comics just fell right off the map, just some dropping by almost 50% since their highs. Well, I'm going to show you 5 comics that are still going up, that are beating their peaks that were happened, a few months ago, 5, 6, 7 months ago. So let's get right into it. These are 5 comics that should be on your radar that I would recommend buying, and I'll give reasons why for each. First up, we got Shazam number 28. And for all of you that don't know, this is the first appearance of Black Adam in the DC universe. Before this, there's a big, issue with legal battle with DC and Fawcett Comics, which Captain Marvel or Shazam was part of, and DC ended up winning. And then later they slowly in the 70s introduced Shazam, then later introduced Black Adam, and this is his first appearance in the DC comic book world. And this is Shazam number 28. Now, if you look at a 9.8 down here, you can see that a 9.8, its previous peak back in June sold for $6,959. Now, currently, one sold for $6,999. Now, you might be thinking, well, that's just a 1% jump. But like I said, there's a huge comic book boom in, late spring, early summer, and a lot of comic books have since dropped drastically from their peak. But these are comics that are still beating their peaks, right, and continue to go up. Another reason why you should get this, not only just because it's going up, the reason why it's going up, because the Black Adam trailer is dropped, and I just have a feeling Black Adam's going to be pretty good and stay around for a long time. If you got a lot of money to spend, if you want his first appearance, you go for Marvel Families number 1. All right, then we got a 9.2. Back in April, one sold for $798, and now one sold for $925. That's a 16% jump from peak to peak, basically. An 8.5 sold for $460 in August. One just sold for $700. That's up 52%. So think about that. If you look at this graph up here at the top, you'll see how it's just ho-humming along, and then it goes, right up. And you can kind of see the little peak there, and then it's been beating its peak. So that's the key thing, that these are previous highs to previous highs. All right, next we got number 2. We got Miss Marvel 16, and this is the first appearance of Mystique. Now, she was as a cameo appearance. Her first full appearance was issue 18. But as you can see, it went up. It's been going along and then skyrocketed up. All right, so we got a 9.6 back in May, sold for $309, and now one sold for $400, up 30%. A 9.4 back in April sold for $275. Currently sold for $275 as well. Didn't really jump up at all. But again, if you notice the market, there's a lot of highs back during this time. You can see most of the previous peaks were all during this time. 8.5 sold in August for $120. Now one sold for $150, up 25%. All right, then we got number 3. We got Marvel Spotlight 28. And this is kind of the first solo book of Moon Knight. Marvel like to have these basically spotlights on different characters. And then from here, he went on and had his own series for a while, and then, it's multiple series. Reason why this is pretty good to get, because unless you have a lot of money, you can't. It's getting a Werewolf by Night 32, which is his first appearance, is hard to get. Then you got 33, which is still pretty expensive. Then you got 37, that's a little cheaper. But this is a good one to get. It's first solo series. Also, you can pick up Moon Knight number 1. I believe it's from 1980. But anyways, you can see here in the graph, it's just going along and just has been just going way, way up. All right, a 9.8 back in May sold for $3,500. One just sold for $5,000. That's up 43%. A 9.4 sold for $1,500 in July. Currently sold for $1,500. So That's great. They're not going down. That was my point, that these are going up. That even though a lot of comics are still going down, some of these comics are actually still going up. A 9.2 sold for $800, and currently one sold for $850. That's up 6%. So that's all good. So these comics are on the rise, and I don't think they're on the rise and like they're going to go up and then they're going to crash. I wouldn't, tell you to get these books if I thought they were going to like basically drop by a bunch, in a month or two. I think these are good long-term investments. All right, next, number 4, we got Thor 165, and this is the first full appearance of Adam Warlock, or him. And if you guys don't know, they just announced the actor who's going to be playing Adam Warlock. I couldn't tell you the actor's name. I've seen him in stuff before. But yeah, so it's just been going up like crazy. So a 9.0 back in September, so a little over a month ago, sold for about $3,524. One just sold for $5,500. That's up 56%. That's crazy. In July, the peak was $850 for a 7.0. Now one just sold for $1,650. That's up 94% from its peak. So what is that? 3 months or so, just almost doubling in 3 months. That's really good. Like, what stock can do that? This next one, it says 9.2, but I think that's supposed to be a 5.0. So a 4 sold for $400 in September, just sold for $600, up 50%. All right, last one on this list. And if you haven't subscribed already, think about subscribing. Helps out this channel, and you get to be aware of all my new content that I make every single day. All right, Ghost Rider number 1. This is the 1990s version, and they've had many different versions, but this is the first appearance of Donny Ketch as a Ghost Rider. So there is, bunch of different ones throughout the years. There's the Western one, then there's Johnny Blaze, and so a 9.8. Its previous peak was $629. Currently, it's up to $749. That's up 19%. And a 9.6 was in August. Its peak was $175. Currently, one sold for $279. So that's up 60% from its peak. And then a 9.4. One sold for $120 in June, and most current one was $115. So that's down 4%. But I just think, in this type of book, you need to get like a 9.8 or a 9.6. As you get in like the 9.4s, 9.2s, and stuff like that, it's kind of a little harder to move, and sometimes it just happens to be when it's sale. So I was there wasn't that many sales in a 9.2 or 9.0 or anything like that, so I had to go with a 9.4, and it was down 4%, but I think that's still fine. I think overall you can look at this graph and you can see that it's just moving up, so it's not crashing, it's going up. 9.4 I think is more of an outlier, but yes, I still think these are all good books to get, and I think they're good long-term books. This particular book, this Ghost Rider, I would definitely try to get a 9.8 or a 9.6. I wouldn't go for a 9.4 below, just because in the 90s, they made so many comics, and there's just high grade. A lot of them were kept in high grade is what I'm trying to say. So I hope you guys are having a great weekend, and feel free to check out my website, collectorscomics.com, and I have a bunch of stuff on there, and my music. Links in the description. All right, have a great day.